All right, y'all. I posted this weekend about Rodney Barnes's Lando series, 5-part series, Lando Calrissian, and I was saying that. Well, I was just saying it was a great series. You know, it made me laugh. I haven't laughed in a comic book. There's a comic book, Lucasfilms comic book, and I think it's with Marvel. I'm not sure. I have to check. But anyway, it made me laugh out loud. And Rodney Barnes is a black writer. I had read the previous Lando book or series. I don't know if the writer was black or not. I'm going to look that up. But what I liked about Rodney Barnes was it followed the Childish Gambino, Donald Glover version of Lando, and not the Billy D. Williams version of Lando. So this is Lando from Solo, or just that energy. And it really, if you've seen Solo, you know Lando has a robot that has a real sense of humor. And Rodney really brought out Lando's sense of humor and the robot's sense of humor. And that is just, good writing. But the other element was there was something about Lando that I think he got right because he is also black. Now, Lando and Mace Windu and Saw Gerrera, what Saw Gerrera is like new, but Lando and Mace are the two black people in Star Wars. So, they're very important characters. And I talk about, I get a lot of hate or just comments. I wouldn't say hate, but a lot of attention when I say, black writers make a difference. But I'm going to say it again. When I read Rodney Barnes's Falcon, when I read Black Panther and the Crew, I'm reading now Rise of the Black Panther. These writers are writers of color, and they're writing characters of color, and they bring a different energy to the characters than I've seen or read before, and I think it's important. I think it's noteworthy. I just heard on the Breakfast Club, right? Cedric the Entertainer was talking about his new television show, which is about a white family moving to a black neighborhood. And he was talking about how he became the executive producer. And he said that when the story was brought to him, it was all right. But he said that the white guy had an authentic experience of moving to a black neighborhood. But all of the black people in the neighborhood were all stereotypic. He said that they were how white people think black people act. And this is the power of television. They brought in Cedric. They bring in these actors, and they are black. They're not white people acting black. Only the writer was white writing black people, right? And they blessed them with their revisions or just their reimaginations and some of the things that they went through. And that's how Cedric became a producer on the show. So I think that's important. I mean, I know a lot of people like to say, let's follow the Christopher Priester model. He did Black Panther, and he said he don't never want to write. Well, I'm not going to put words in his mouth. He said he wanted to write, Iron Man and other mainstream characters. He didn't want to write, I may get the quote wrong, he didn't want to write another black character. Or he didn't want to write any more black characters because they was throwing all the black characters at him. And I get that because, they're giving you throwaway characters. Hell, Black Panther was a throwaway character until he wrote it and made it important. They give you Killmonger and give you, he created Sori, he created all that. But none of that was they weren't important characters. You know what I'm saying? So they gave you all these little secondhand characters, even Falcon, Rodney Barnes was getting, Falcon is cleaning up the community, but at the end of the day, he's not saving the world. He's cleaning the community. That's cool, but it ain't Captain America. It ain't Thor. It isn't Superman, okay? But I'm saying that to say that, yo, we saw what black people can do when they come together and write a character and act in it. Black Panther movie was really there. I mean, it tied into, the Infinity Wars universe, and it was very important. And I know it got a lot of non-black people or Black Panther fans to the theater because of the connection, you know what I'm saying? However, I still feel there's like some people I met that still haven't seen Black Panther. And I'm like, if, they've seen Doctor Strange, they've seen Infinity Wars, and they still haven't seen Black Panther. So to me, that's racial. But all of that, despite Black Panther still succeeded, because then on the flip side, you got people that never saw Doctor Strange, Infinity Wars, any Captain America, they ain't even seen the X-Men, and they went to see Black Panther. So whether it is bringing in the old audience or finding a new audience, it's still finding a big audience, and that's really what you want. And so why do I say that? Because Ryan Coogler wrote it. Michael B. Jordan and all the other actors that he went around and brought and made a part of it, made it good. If that was a white director and writer, I don't know. I personally don't think it would have been as authentic and as successful. I'm sorry. It's the same way I feel about Luke Cage, who was my favorite superhero that I never read none of his books and didn't like him until, he took off the tiara and the bracelets. And I say that because I just liked his story, but I didn't like the manifestation of that. The jive talking, the flared up Mr. T collar, thank God David Walker's comic book version doesn't have that. But, I don't read Power Fist and Power Man and Iron Fist, because that's cliche and stereotypical. I like the David Walker other version of Luke Cage. That's hot. So anyway, I don't even like the name Power Man, but we'll figure out a way to make it work. I like Luke Cage. I'm glad he has two names. Anyway, I just think that's important. I think also on the other side, it doesn't take a comic book 100 million copies for these comics to sell and to be continued and be considered a success. 5,000, 10,000 copies. That's really all they need, and that's one movie theater does that in a weekend. So there's people out there that are capable of supporting a comic, especially when you take something like Black Panther, which has a market of new, interested comic book character fans. Now, they're not reading, that wasn't the Black Panther comic book, that was a movie, and I understand that a lot of people who go to movies don't always read comic books, but I do believe a lot of it has to do with the history of comic books. The amount of black characters, the amount of black writers writing black characters, the way the black characters are treated, and this is in mainstream. If there wasn't a market for black characters, there wouldn't have been all these black independent creators. It wouldn't be all these black comic conventions. So that being said, I know independent comic book creators whose characters don't have movies, who don't have anything, who are selling thousands of books a year, right? And if given the platform, like if comic book stores had them and they were able to market them, some of them don't even market in diamond. They just go to conventions and this is what they sell. They may do a Kickstarter and this is what they sell. I just think if they gave them, or if they put themselves in positions, they would be able to be more successful. Maybe they don't always have the resources. I know with my particular comic book, I don't have the resources. So I'm only going to be able to sell it straight print on demand, or pretty much print my copies and go to a convention. So I know my resources are limited. But for somebody like something like Marvel doing a Falcon, or doing Lando, the series was called Lando All for Nothing, you have the resources. They need to promote these books to these black comic book conventions, to this Black Panther audience that's out there. There's no reason why these stories should be falling. Lando is hot, y'all. And if they don't ask Rodney Barnes to do it again, that's a loss for us all. But we got to figure out a way to support our writers in the independent form and also in the mainstream form, because mainstream is just like the movie theaters. We got a black film festivals, but we don't have black movie theater circuit. So when we get our movies out there like we did all through the 90s, we supported our black movies when they came out. It almost felt like, dang, as soon as, Tyler Perry got a movie, I may not like it, I may not be drawn to it right away, but I feel a little pressure to go see it. Now we're getting like 15 black movies a year, so it's really hard. You got to be a devout movie theater goer to support that. But if you go back to 2010, 2000, we didn't have movies like that coming out in such a volume. So it was something that we had to support. Now we have a bunch of them coming out. That's one thing. So I'm just saying to the Marvel, to the writers, to the readers, we all got to do better. If you're a black comic book person, independent or in the mainstream, go to your comic book stores. The series comes out this month, right? It's October. Series is out this month. Then next month, we have a Killmonger, or December, a Killmonger one coming out. So we actually, I'm going to start a list of all the black written comic books that are out or that are coming out that you can support. I know David Walker has a bitter end or something. But yeah, we got to keep a hold of this, because we should support them the same way we do black sci-fi writers or black writers in sci-fi, on the shelves of Barnes and Nobles. Is in the same way we do, black films when they come out in the movie theater. So we just got to do more support. All right, y'all, I'm out. That's just my piece. Talk to you later.